gallery, staff and councillors to Richmond Valley Council's Ordinary Council meeting, Tuesday the 17th of February 2026. I'll open the meeting with the acknowledgement of country. Richmond Valley Council recognises the people of the Bundjalung Nations as custodians and traditional owners of this land, and we value and appreciate the continuing culture connection to lands, their living culture and their unique role in the life of this region in the past, present and future. Mr General Manager, could you read the prayer, please?
Dear Lord, we meet to serve our Richmond Valley community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, and to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognise our responsibility to the past and the future, and the rights and needs of both individuals and community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations and on our efforts here today. May we act wisely and well. Amen.
Amen. Mr General Manager, have you received any apologies for this meeting?
Yes, I've received a request for a leave of absence from Councillor Murray, who has work commitments overseas.
Thank you. Could we get a mover for that? There's no other apologies. We're here. Get a mover, please.
Yeah, I'll move.
Councillor Hayes, and a second. Councillor Cornish. I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Mayoral minute. There's no mayoral minute, but I'd just like to welcome everyone back. I hope you've all had a good rest over the Christmas and festive season, and I look forward to working together, not only in the council but with our community, and I thank the gallery for their attendance tonight. So I look forward to the 2026 being a prosperous year for the Richmond Valley Council area. I'd also like to mention that in our code of meeting practice, on item 16.1 tonight, there is a clause in it that encourages councillors to stand when addressing council. It only encourages. That is up to you. I think it's worked in the past for councillors being seated, and I'm comfortable with that. I just have concerns if people stand up and talk out, they may not be picked up with the microphone. So if you do stand and elect to, please bend down and speak into the speaker so the people on video can hear it, please. Thank you. Item 5.1, confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 16th of December 2025. Can I get a mover of that, please? Councillor Humphries and a seconder. Councillor Morrissey. Does everyone agree with the accuracy of those minutes? Put that motion then. All those in favour? Carried. 16.2, minutes of the extraordinary meeting held on the 22nd of January 26. Can I get a mover of that, please?
Move that way.
Councillor Humphries and Councillor Hayes. Everyone agree with the accuracy of those minutes? Put that motion. All those in favour? Carried. Matters arising out of either of those meetings. Has any councillor got any matters arising? Councillor Hayes.
Yeah, just a quick question on page 14, 16.2 in the minutes at the dot point 5. Have we had any correspondence or anything from government departments and agencies about the relocating the track at Air Force? Have we done anything at all yet? I know the report's asked here for March, but I did ask for, as soon as possible.
Mr General Manager.
Letters have been sent some time ago to the two agencies involved. We've received one reply. We'll be chasing the other reply, and our intent is to provide a detailed report back to the March meeting on those options and any other related matter on that Air Force beach. So the aim will be to have it all, and any responses that we've got will be included as attachments to that report.
Thank you.
Any other matters arising? Item 7, declarations of interest. Has any councillor got a declaration of interest? Mr General Manager, have you received any?
Yes, I've received two declarations of interest. So the first one is for Councillor Hayes in the matter of item 14.1. Just double check that. 14.1, which is the planning proposal for 395 Reardon's Lane, Swan Bay. Councillor Hayes is an applicant for other DAs on this land, so not for this particular item, and has identified it as a non-pecuniary insignificant conflict. The other declaration is from Director Gator for item 17.2, which is the development applications determined, and is identified that is a non-pecuniary insignificant conflict. We're not making decision on those items, as both Director Gator and a family member have development applications listed that have been determined, which are identified in that information report.
Thank you, that's it.
Yeah, that's it, those two.
Item 8, notice of motion. There's no notice of motion. We move over to page 9 now for item 9.1, Mayor's report, and I'll move that. My attendances. Can I get a second?
Second, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Morrissey. Any questions regarding that report? I'll put that motion then. All those in favour? Carried. Over the page to page 10. Item 10.1, Delegates Report, February 2026 Rouse County Council meeting. Get a mover, please.
Move that way.
Councillor Humphries, I'll second. Any questions arising out of that report? Councillor Hayes.
Just a quick one on the $70 million for the health of the Richmond River and the recovery. Is that something that's in the pipeline, that money, or is it just an amount that they're hoping to get?
Where's that in there?
Oh, it's on. Hang on a minute. Page 10, about page 12, I think, of the papers.
Page 14.
Page 14, yep, halfway down there. It says, report recommends that council continue advocating strongly to the New South Wales Government for the $70 million in funding required for Operation Richmond River recovery.
Yep. And there's also, we're pushing for that funding. It is a lot of money. We're happy to take it over time. There is also a Rouse meeting here tomorrow, and there's been a notice of motion about the health of the Richmond River, asking for a commissioner, and studies. There's trying to get a group together. There's about 4 or 5 organisations plus councils in this notice of motion that are willing to push for better health for the Richmond, as it's got a very high ranking of the deterioration over the years. So yes, council is pushing, the community is pushing, but so far we have had money, but there is a program that it's about to run out this year, and we want this to continue.
The Rouse Water, are they responsible for the full length of the river, or only from where they actually cut in, where they're supplying water from Coracai down to Ballina?
Yeah, it's Rouse County Council, because the Rouse Water wouldn't come in under that. This is it's not actually. Rouse isn't responsible for the river. It's not owned by Rouse, but we have Rouse. One of the challenges we have is it's flood mitigation. That's Rouse's role, not so much the health of the river, but we are trying to get some money to stop the black water events. And there's a lot of proposals there, right from the top tributaries through to the mouth of the river at Ballina. So it's not actually their role to focus on the river. We do deliver if we get some government grants, a lot of tree planting and things like that, and opening the canals. But no, it's not. The river's not responsible of Rouse. And without the funding, like you're talking, to do what they want is need to be done, you're talking hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. There have to be buybacks of land, and some of the swamp land, some of the land turned back into swamps to let the water settle, the black water before it gets into the river and things like that. So it'll be a big job, be a lot of public consultation. Some people would be happy and there'd be some industries that wouldn't be. But that needs to be all addressed going forward. And until the funding's available, it's be just another plan that would sit on a shelf. Actually needs the cash. Any other questions? Councillor Humphries, right a reply. Put that motion then. All those in favour? Carried. Page 16, matters determined without debate. Has any councillors got any items? I'd like to call actually 15.1, if I could. Any other councillor have an item? Councillor?
16.4, Mr Mayor.
Twelve, 12.1 and 17.1.
17.1 will come out in the, I think
Oh,
that's
matters for
matters for
information.
information, I
Sorry,
think.
So 12.1, yep, sorry.
Yep.
14.1.
So, any other items? I believe, Mr General Manager, we need a motion for 16.1, 16.2 and 16.3.
Correct, yep.
Can I get a mover, please?
I'll move it.
Councillor Morrissey, seconder. Councillor Cornish. Put that motion then. All those in favour? Carried. 12.1, Councillor Hayes.
I'll move the recommendation as written to start with, and I've got a question.
Can I get a
I'll
seconder? I'll second. Councillor Hayes.
Yeah, just a question for the General Manager. There's no mention in there in the signature projects of the tennis club, pony club building that we were allocated money for previously. I'm just wondering where that's at and what's about to happen around that space.
Thanks for the question. I'll get Director Zeller, who's responsible for that area, to give us an update. Thanks.
Thanks. Through you, Mr Mayor. It's fair to say that that project's a risk for us. It's been a challenging one since day one. We'd got a fair way down the track on planning a replacement building there. We'd actually engaged AGS Commercial to help us out with the planning part of that building in the early days, and obviously they've went into liquidation, so we had to start over again. We now have a pathway where we can get a result there, but the risk is around the time frame. That funding, which is administered by the Reconstruction Authority, needs us to have that money spent by 30 June as per our funding agreement. So obviously, if you do the general maths on that, we're hoping to get a tender out in March, which would be bringing a decision for the council in April. Ideally, then a one may start with a builder, but all things being equal, you're not looking at about a September or October completion on that. So there's a lot of work for us to do in an advocacy space with the funding body to try and get ourselves a bit of an extension there. We do now have a fairly clear pathway with what we want to do, which was part of the challenge. There's obviously what we set out for with the scope when that funding first came out. We've had flood modelling and all sorts of things done that have changed the game as far as floor levels, and we even investigated a buyback property across the way to pick a different spot because it was a little bit higher, but as we know, the RA recently decided that you can't build anything back on those blocks. So that was sort of a dead end. So we've now got a planning consultant on board. We've got an REF due next week. So as I said, we've got a way forward, but we've got a bit of work to do with the funding body to advocate for an extension there on that time frame.
With the pony club and the tennis club being nearly not operational, or tennis club, I'm not sure about the pony club, is there any way we can rechannel that money back to the Woodburn Oval towards amenities that are there now rather than a clubhouse as such?
That's certainly not out of the question, purely because we haven't asked that question. We've done it before with other funding streams. This funding stream's the same one that we've got the funding for the casino suspension bridge and the rugby league clubhouse and things like that. So we purely haven't asked that question, but we can. That's it has been, I guess, to admit that it has been somewhat difficult to consult with those two clubs given their status. We haven't had a lot of feedback on the plans and things like that. So if that's the way we want to go, we can certainly ask that question of the funding body.
Yeah, I'd like to come out of tonight that you actually approach the maybe the Woodburn Wolves Soccer Club and just see what they need down there and see if you can, you know, if there's a way you can rechannel that money. It'd be a shame to lose it because we don't do anything, it goes back, doesn't it? We lose a lot. Yeah. How much money are we talking?
So that was 800,000. Yeah.
Probably just one of the challenges the team have had to work through with this is because it's a new building, so it needs to be built to current standards. It's also classified as a commercial building, and its floor level is it 3.8? 3.9. So it's 3.9 metres above the current ground level. So if you build it as a building, you need to include lifts. We've wanted to avoid that because we clearly can't afford a building with a lift in it. So my understanding of design is it's a rather large mound for obviously to be able to provide accessible access to the proposed building. So it's had some real challenges from a design perspective to satisfy flood levels, commercial building requirements. So yeah, it's been a challenging project to get to where we are. But yeah, we can ask that question.
So just a follow-up question on that, before I speak as a seconder. If there was ever to be a soccer building there, change rooms and canteen, it would have to be to that height too?
Not sure whether they will have the same classification if it's an amenities. I mean, the alternatives that we and this is another option we've looked at is container type buildings that are actually sealed. There's a set of those, I understand, near the cricket oval in Lismore that are pretty much at ground level, but they're sealed containers. But they're amenities facilities. But yeah, that's if it depends on the classification of the building. But if it's commercial, which a clubhouse was deemed to be, it's got to be very high.
Yeah, because the amenities building there needs sooner or later an upgrade pretty urgently. Councillor Hayes, did you want to speak any more on your mover?
I was going to change a recommendation, but I think I'll just leave it till we get some more information on that one. So,
Okay.
No, all good, thank you.
Thank you. Councils, to me this is a very positive report. When you read that there's, out of 70 principal activities, the delivery program, 73 are currently on schedule, and the other two are being addressed to bring on track in early 2026. If you go over to the next page, to page 18, you'll see down the bottom the signature of projects and priority works. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 major projects identified there. From all over the council area. And then over on page 19, I think is a very, one that stands out is that it continues progress on council's ongoing road repair program following the 2022 flood, with 30.2 million of the 52 million approved. Essential public asset reconstruction works are now completed, all within the approved budget. Councils are progressing further funding applications for road repairs following the 2025 Cyclone Alfred event. So I think it's a very, very good report. I would also would take the opportunity to, I know it's the General Manager's report, but that's been a terrific effort by all of our staff across the whole council. So, Mr General Manager, I'd like you to congratulate our staff and give council's appreciation for their efforts to have a positive report come this, because the benefit out of this is for our community. So thank you. If you speak, you're going to close. Any other speakers?
Thanks very much, Mr Mayor. I feel like it's actually quite a challenge to pull anything out of this report when there's so many projects that have either been completed or there's significant progress being made, progressing to schedule. The successful completion of the projects and the achievements throughout the 6 months, I think it's quite remarkable. And if I were to discuss one of the things, only one of the things, I think I honestly believe it's the calibre of the workforce and the energy of that workforce, the focus and the strong teamwork, the dedication and the commitment have led to the success and the strong progress that was made during those 6 months, July to December 2025. And as you said, it's for the community. These achievements are for our community and our staff. They know that. And that's what I mean when I say they're dedicated and they're focused. You spoke about the road repair being on within the approved budget. That's a huge achievement when you're talking about $30.2 million. And the major boost to our local economy, that's kind of that feels like that's been a long time coming, and we've had some success, but this is $15.6 million in commercial, industry and tourism developments approved by our council, and that includes the $8.5 million for the new boutique hotel development. And that's then we've got the New South Wales government. They've approved those 2 major solar farms, massive solar farms, with a third proposal currently under assessment. These projects, $1.5 billion, will create more than 300 jobs in the construction phase and generate enough power for more than 200,000 homes. They're big figures and they're going to be in our community. Thanks very much for the report.
Any other speakers? Mr General Manager, did you want to talk to your report at all?
Look, I think you've covered it well. I'd just like to, obviously this is the first 6 months, so the delivery program is a 4-year program. So we're 6 months in, there's still plenty more to do. I think there's a couple of items that are behind, but we're addressing those as is set out in the report, and we've communicated with you, and only today I was on a Teams meeting with the team doing the flood risk management plan, and from that discussion we're more confident. We had some issues that emerged that we needed to deal with, which is why it's delayed, and so from that meeting today we're in a better position for some positive outcomes there, and there will be the opportunity of a briefing for all councillors, and then that will go back to the floodplain risk management committee before it then comes back to council for consideration and then ultimately adoption. So it's a work in progress. I just wanted to thank our team who have put this report together. It's the first one, so getting ourselves, getting a template set up, because it is an important accountability report to yourselves and also obviously to our community. So I just want to thank that team, but obviously all of our teams and the executive team who put a lot of time and effort into the commentary and the current status of these reports. So it is a team effort, and it's been well done. But I think for me the key, there's highlights in the report, but there's plenty more to do, which we'll focus on and work with everyone in our community, whether it be businesses, contractors, community groups, to keep delivering what our community sees as priorities. So thank you, and thanks for staff, and I'll certainly enjoy passing that on.
Thank you. Councillor Hayes, right, a reply?
Yeah, just to close it, look, the signature projects, they're all up and running, and the report is of high quality, and we're progressing pretty well. But I just think that project in Woodburn, if we let $800,000 slip between our fingers and it doesn't get spent in Woodburn on something, you know, it's another kick in the guts from Woodburn since the flood. You know, we're 4 years on. That money was promised, you know, and well, whether it's that clubhouse or something else, I still reckon we want to go hard to keep that money and keep it in Woodburn and do something for the community. So I think it's you know, it should be prioritised, and well, it has to be because you're going to run out of time. So, thank you.
Close the debate. I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried. Councillor Walker. Thank you. Page 21, item 13, Office of General Manager. There's no reports there. Over to page 22, Planning and Sustainable Communities, 14.1. I think Councillor Morrissey was the mover.
Move the recommendation, Mr Mayor. Planning matter.
Get a seconder, please.
Second.
Councillor Humphries. Do you want to speak to it?
Nothing, Mr Mayor.
I'll just explain for those online and in the gallery, planning matters need to be called and come before council. So thank you, Councillor Morrissey, for that. Did you want to write a reply?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Put that motion then. All those in favour? Carried. Page 26, 15.1. I'll move that. Seconder?
Yeah, I'll second.
Councillor Hayes. Ooh. I had a bit of paper here for. No, it's handwritten, which I've left in my desk. I'll come over and read it to. Move the motion, but I want to add to it. Councillors, I have moved the recommendation, but part 2, at the end of where it says opportunities to support its delivery, I have added and/or identifies council's funding sources in the preparation of the 26-27 budget. I'll move that if I can get a. Sorry, Councillor Hayes.
Happy with that?
I should have waited till I had that bit to call for a second or a movement. Councillors, I believe that this has been really an expectation by this community in Corrigai to have this park upgraded for the last year or so. There's been a lot of talk down there. There was no funding available. There was temporary work done there, but the park for a town that size is most probably badly needed. If you go to Broadwater, Woodburn, Evanshead, Casino, Rapville, we have really nice parks, play equipment there for the children. sadly Coracai over the years, and it's because of the predicament we find ourselves in with the park gradually falling into the river with a slump there. I believe it's unfixable, and it's been confirmed that it's just a slump that's going to keep occurring. We went to the community with some sites to move to, and the one that came back the most favourable was one that was not even on council's list. And a few weeks ago I was down at Windsor Park attending a colour run with the children there, and there was a few people who actually said, we need some swings here. So I thought, well, it has to be done sooner than later for that community. So I've just added that part on. We need to get on with the job and try to get it done in the next year's budget, because there's no allocation this year. I know that says there we'll try to actively seek funding, but if we can't get any funding, I think we have to just get on with it, allocate the money in the budget, and get out of the other park, because it's becoming, I think, a bit dangerous. It's not at that stage yet, but if we leave it 4 or 5 years, it will be. So we need to get on with it, and that park will stay in use until this other one is completed, but I'd just like to see it happening sooner than later. Councillor Hayes.
Yeah, just one comment, that the picture there shows the new park, the proposed playground for Windsor Park fenced. Is that going to be the fact? Because the park in Coracai attracts a lot of visitors purely because it's fenced with young kids. Mums can put them in there and don't have to watch them that much. So
I think one of the main reasons it was fenced in Coracai
is the river, yeah,
and the road.
and the road.
It's
yeah.
very close to the road.
But it's got a name for itself for being fenced and being a safe place to take your younger kids. So if we can keep promoting that.
Mr. General Manager, your comment?
Just to make you aware that we're about to, we've just gone out with a request for quote to do a master plan for Windsor Park, which we were due to do. We've also got to do a plan of management because it is Crown land. So we're going to, the aim is to get them done to bring back to you in July. So we'll have so part of that master plan, we can ask questions like, should it be fenced? Where exactly should it be? What else can Windsor Park be used for? Obviously, it is challenging, Windsor Park being prone to flood. So we've got to work through those things. So we'll have a consultant on board to help us with the master plan. We'll do that over the next, the rest of this financial year. Bring a report to you. The plan is to do that in July, and we can obviously work through funding options. One of which could be our 712 contributions plans. It was mentioned about the solar farms, so as part of those developments, they need to pay developer contributions, which can go towards community facilities, so that might be an option that we can look towards. We've obviously got an adopted 712 plan that has a list of projects in it, but if we get more funds in, there may be a need to bring that plan back to you to make decisions around what the projects are listed in that. So we should be in a good position come July to have some certainty around when we can deliver this, because we do know it's much sought after by that community.
That answer your question? Any other speakers? I'll put that motion. I don't think I need to write a reply. I think that'll be supported. All those in favour? Carried. Our next item is 16.4. Before we get into that, we have a presentation. So we'll take that first, Mr. General Manager, presentation.
Yeah, we've got Mrs. Martin here, our Manager of Finance, to give us a overview of our quarterly budget review. So I'll hand over to Mrs. Martin. Thank you.
Thank you. So the quarterly budget review statement for 31 December 2025, we have some recommended changes for our income from continuing operations of an $8 million increase, which is largely made up of $6.6 million in capital grants and contributions. and an increase of $1.3 million to our operating expenses, with a net impact on our net operating result before capital grants and contributions of $36,000. Income is tracking at 58% of the projected budget, and expenses are currently sitting at 48% of the projected budget, which is on track for the year. The notable increases for our operating expenses, our capital first, is $8 million, largely due to the advanced payment of our natural disaster restoration funding, which is increasing that budget by $6.7 million. On the operating side, we've had positive investment returns to date, and it's proposed to increase the interest income budget by $682,000, taking into account our current year-to-date returns as well as our projected returns to the end of the year. But we have excluded fair value gains on investments as they're prone to fluctuations. On the operating expense side, we've had an increase in materials and services of around $2 million. That's largely in our waste fund, and that increase is in line with our income projections for the year. And in our information and technology services, we've proposing to increase that by $682,000 due to increase in software licences, and that's largely in relation to upgrades currently underway on our corporate information system, Technology One, and that's proposed to be funded from the increase in interest revenue noted prior to this. And we've also had a small overlap in some licensing software costs this year as we do transition across to the new system. For our capital works, we've seen a decrease of $8.4 million down to $79 million for this year, and that's largely due to pushing out some of our emergency restoration works into next year. The current program is at 31% of the projected year-end result, and has some significant projects underway, so we do expect that to come close to the projected budget of $79 million. The notable changes in our capital works program, we're proposing to transfer $2.3 million for the construction of Patricia Street as part of the industrial activation works on the Bruxner Highway into next year, as progress on the grant-funded roundabout project continues in the lead up to the end of financial year. We also propose to reduce the $6.1 million for natural disaster restoration works into next year in line with our revised program of works. The major changes during this quarterly review are largely due to revision in grant-funded projects in line with variations and revisions in estimated schedules. Overall, the income and expense budgets, as mentioned, are tracking well at 58% and 48% respectively of the year-to-date budget. Our estimated cash result has remained unchanged at $301,000, and our financial position remains on track for the end of the year.
Thank you. Is there any questions? No? Councillor Walker.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll move the recommendation, but I want to ask a question and make a comment, if I could get a second.
Second?
Second.
Councillor Cornish. Councillor Walker.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, I think that the increase in the information and technology service amount by $682,000 warrants a discussion. It's a very large amount, very large increase, and it's for, we're told, software licences. Now, this is a multi-year project, presumably. We would have known software licences would have had to come into it, but to mid-year come and say, oh, we need $682,000 for software licences for a project, I think is a big ask. So I'd really like a better explanation than a simple one that said we've got software licences. I mean, for example, if we hadn't have been lucky with the way interest rates had moved this year, we wouldn't have had that money to pay for it. And secondly, the cash balance doesn't move, never moves in our quarterly reports. It always stays exactly the same because we spend more and earn a little bit more and manipulate it around. But our cash balance could go up by $682,000 if this amount was actually funded as it should have been in forward budgets. So I'd really appreciate an explanation of this amount because I find dropping $682,000 for software licences in February of a year hard to understand.
Mr General Manager.
I'd have to say I was somewhat surprised when it popped up, so I'm more than happy to chat with our team and get a bit more detail for you, and we can bring a report back to the next meeting. I think it's appropriate to scrutinise that but I was made aware that it was part of our review process, and I made the decision to include it in our presentation this evening. So happy to provide further information. I'll bring a report back to the next meeting.
Thank you. Happy with that? Thank you. Anything else? Any other,
No, Mr Mayor, nothing else.
any other speakers? Not a reply. I'll put that motion in. All those in favour? Carried. Over to item 17. Can I get a mover, please?
Moved, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Morrissey, and a seconder.
Yeah, I'll second.
Councillor Hayes, Councillor Morrissey.
No, thanks, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Morrissey, you had a question. Councillor Hayes, sorry, you had a question, I believe.
Yeah, 17.1. The report there about our supporting development of residential land, trying to encourage it. It's a good report. It goes in that report and it says that we're getting plenty of rural residential subdivisions on the ground, which we are. And then down the bottom there it says, Council's preferred position remains that the private development market proceeds with current residential development options, including Summerland Estate and the Meadows, and is liaising with and supporting any interested developers to activate housing supply. Should discussions progress to the point of a council decision being required, a future report will be brought back to a council meeting. I'm of the opinion that, and I'm going to ask the question, if we were to rearrange our Section 64 charges on a major development, okay, so if you've got 50 blocks of land, for instance, in a development, the holding costs on that land for those charges relate to $1 million that the developer's got to have in holding costs to hold the land. If we were to change it so those payments don't have to be paid before the subdivision's actually completed, if it's when the land is sold that they're applied then, it gives them, on a 50-lot subdivision, it gives them another $1 million to play with to get the thing on the ground. They've still got to be paid. The services don't get used until there's something built on those blocks. So there's no wear and tear on our services. The services still go in, and then we collect those fees as the blocks sell. I just think it's an incentive to get residential land on the market a lot quicker, because the holding costs are the thing, they're not. And if you refer it back to rural residential, they don't exist. You don't have that problem with rural residential. And I don't know if that's the reason why they're going rural residential instead of developing land where everything is, but I think it's worth a look. And if it can be done, I think it's, we need to actually just look into it.
Look, anything that reduces holding costs for a development is a good thing to try and get these on the ground. So with the Section 64 contributions, so when you do traditional development, that is done at the construction certificate stage. So that's before you've started, if you've got a block of land, it's before you've started putting anything on ground. When you're doing a subdivision, we issue what's called a subdivision works certificate, which enables those works, whether it be fill, water, sewer, the designs, roads, to be put in place. We don't actually collect the Section 64 contributions until the point at which it's the last hold point where council has an ability to, there's still a requirement for approval. It's the last one, and so it actually is later in the process. It's at the point where you register title on blocks. So, if you have a subdivision of 15 lots, it's only at the point at which it's basically ready, where you then have to go through that subdivision process, get titles for each lot. That's where the payment gets made. So that's where it happens at the moment. Whether there's and it can be stage by stage, where you have a stage development, but whether there's the opportunity, something we could have a look at, to only pay those contributions as you sell each lot, that would be a further, push it down the road option, which I don't think is done much by councils. Something we can have a look at. That could potentially reduce holding costs even further. So there is a difference between a construction certificate process and a subdivision works certificate process for subdivisions. Is that
clear.
Yeah, the fees are paid, are due prior to the release of the subdivision certificate.
Right at the
But,
point, yeah.
at the end, okay, but
Yeah.
you release that, you've got your landlord sitting there, until you've sold a block, you've got no
That's
money
right.
back.
So
That's the gap.
Yeah.
That's
So
the
we
gap
can have,
need to fill.
I'm not sure whether that's achievable, but we can look into it.
Thank you.
Could I have a question on 17.4, Mr Mayor? Mr Mayor, the Civic Hall Master Plan, I mean, a hall we all love, I know, but the question about air conditioning in the master plan, I'm fairly certain there's a reason why it's not there, but for my edification and that of the community, air conditioning is essential in that hall. The fans remain noisy. They're only part ineffective. I think when most of us went to Brenda Armfield's funeral there, and the fans were roaring, and it's very, very noisy. So, can we have an explanation as to why air conditioning isn't in the master plan and why it can't be included?
Mr. General Manager.
My simple answer is cost. Our focus was obviously to do what's in the master plan, and potentially it could be in the master plan. That way it's something to strive for. But the cost of air conditioning that building would be high. Operating it will be high. But potentially, I'd have to reflect back on why it was excluded, and there's certainly been discussions about it, and it comes down to cost, both the cost of actually putting the system in and then operating it. So they were the reasons, but potentially if because we're putting this out for consultation, so it is something that we can reconsider and potentially bring back in the final master plan. And in that process, we could potentially get a sort of a cost estimate at least as to what it would cost. But absolutely, I agree. When you go to an event there, it would be lovely if it was air conditioned.
Mr Mayor, thank you for that. Master plans are just that, they're master plans. They're not supposed to be adjusted for cost considerations at the start. The idea is to plan for what will be the ultimate facility, and I think it has to be in the master plan. And, you know, over time, over the years ahead, there may well come a time when we get the funding. So I'd hate to think it wasn't in the master plan because someone determined it might be costly.
General Manager.
Yeah, Director Zeller, your area, you can comment.
I was just going to say the other thing I'll do in the meantime is check with our assets team that's leading this to just check that there wasn't any infrastructure reasons that whether there's too many windows or something like that. I'll go and check that just to see that there wasn't a reason that was deliberately excluded.
I know up on the stage it has that very high tower for all the scenery and that to be dropped. So whether it could escape up there, it might have a ceiling in it. But I think it was looked at years ago, and it was not only the cost of running it, the cost of putting it in, installing it. But if it goes in there at a later date, you could get $5 or $10 million. But the priority over the time has been, I can recall a few years ago, the ceiling was all, the paint was peeling off. It had a new floor in it, and and they want to talk about putting Art Deco front back on it, and so I think that's where the priority went over the air conditioning. So, and in saying that, and the reply will be, but if it's air conditioned, it might get used more. But the Civic Hall does not get a real lot of use. I remember years ago, and a lot of people in the gallery would recall when there was 10 balls a year in there, all the major shops, and that had, but they've just seemed to gravitated to the RSM Club for the venue and the alcohol serving and the convenience of it, the kitchen and everything like that. So, yeah.
Heritage listed, I assume. Does that restrict doing stuff like that? Yeah.
Anyway, it's fine. We can have a look at it and put it in there. Any other questions or debate on item 17? Councillor Morrissey, right a reply.
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Put that motion then. All those in favour? Carried. Councillor Hayes? Thank you. Item 18 on page 23 with a recommendation over on, 83 on page 85. There's a question from Councillor Hayes. Would you like to move that?
Yeah, move the way it's written, thanks.
Can I get a seconder for that, please? Councillor Morrissey.
The answers to the questions are fine, I'm happy with that. I'm just a little bit bewildered of who's responsible for the health of the Richmond River. It looks like everyone's responsible for everything around it, and
Unfortunately, under the new
can't
rules,
say anything.
there's,
Right, I thought that.
there's no debate. You've got the question been answered. I'm sorry, but that's just the new rules. We live under that. I'll put that motion then. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Over the page to item 19. Questions for the next meeting in writing. Has any councillor got a question in writing?
Sorry.
You have?
Yeah, do you want me to read it out, or does it just go up?
No.
You don't have to, do you? No.
No, just hand them in.
Yep.
It's basically the same as a question on notice,
Yep.
because it'll be responded to at the next meeting.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Gallery, for your attendance, for those leaving. We'll now move on to page 87. Matters referred to closed council. I need a motion to go into closed council.
Moved, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Morrissey, a seconder. Councillor Cornish. Mr General Manager, has been any written representation made regarding the meeting going into closed council?
None received, no.
Thank you. Are there any verbal representations from the members of the public? Nope. I'll put that motion then, councillors. All those in favour? Councillor, well, thank you. Unanimous. Manager, could you read the resolutions of closed council, please?
Yeah, I'll ask Director Zella to do that one. It's in his patch.
In the item 20.1, tender VP 478065, Casino Water Treatment Plant Augmentation, Project Management and Technical Support Services. Resolved that Council 1 appoints Uminex Proprietary Limited as the lead project management consultant to assist Council in the delivery of the Casino WTP Augmentation Project. And 2, authorises the General Manager to negotiate and finalise the terms and conditions of any contract or agreement in line with the content of this report and the available budget, and affixing the seal of Council where necessary.
Thank you. There's no more order of business. I'll declare the meeting closed and wish everyone a safe journey home. Thanks for your attendance.